till we get one person watching, then we'll let the party start, okay? Hi, Chihuahua. I saw ya. Thank you coming on. Friday morning, 10 a.m. on California side, but today's guest will be out in Cincinnati getting himself ready for tonight's conference and Cincy opener. Their game's at 7:45. The reason I brought the old school shirt, because this goes in my man cave where I have old jerseys and things I've gotten along the time, as well as a lot of the old bats that I used to swing in my man cave. Once it's set up, I will start going live in my man cave, but it's not quite ready. So anyways, couple nights I kind of flaked coming on, and that was just primarily, decompressing, in 5 weeks, getting that trip ready to Tennessee to go out there. It took a lot. So I just found it after it was all done and etc. that I was quite exhausted. I was going to go on last night with the possible interview, but I slept. And one of the gentlemen was calling me, and we were getting a bad connection, as well as the night before. Remember when I post up there for an open line, open chat, that means I want you guys to come on and ask questions. You can go live with me or just ask it. But part of making this show fluid as much as it can be, it requires crowd participation. The same way that I used to do it when I was in the band. When I used to play live, I used to talk to the audience, and I said, man, crowd participation is huge. We're jamming, do the fish, pogo dance, sway, skank, do whatever you want. But the more you're involved, the more fun you have. Talking to some people that were heading out to Cincinnati, I hope to clear a lot of your boredoms in between games. Some of you touch base with me. If you have a good time break tomorrow, while you're in between games and stuff, hit me up and we'll go live for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, maybe highlight some games, being that we won't have to show pay $5.99. Not that it's a bad thing, but I think will be an interesting discussion. Anyways, I think my guest is here ready to come, which is awesome because we're just getting better. Let me see here. He's ready to go. So anyways, while I'm going to talk about him a little bit. This guy, lefty, plays with Classic Glass, leadoff hitters, been conference for over 12 years, as I said. Give me a little minute,
hey,
buddy. I got DJ Hollingworth. I'm doing your intro, man. I got to give a little prop for you, buddy.
Oh, boy.
And I appreciate you coming on.
No doubt.
But anyways, leadoff hitter for Classic Glass, been in conference for 12 years. I call him a little big man of softball. Because he plays with a very big heart. He may not be big in stature, but he's big in his approach to the game. And I think if you've watched DJ over the years, you could actually kind of piggyback on what I'm saying. The guy goes about it 100%, playing balls out in the outfield, running the bases, bringing intangibles. I feel that always helps a team win, because we can play the game or we could play to win. And I always feel DJ comes with that type of attitude. He plays to win. Anyways, without further ado, from Cincinnati, after he getting his lunch, DJ Hollingworth.
Late breakfast, bro. Late breakfast. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. How's everything with you? I like that old school shirt, big dog. I ain't seen that in a long time. Right?
Well, I kind of miss Classic Glass green, I've always liked the green from when I first started playing in the 90s to whenever. But, hey, new generation, conference.
I like that bat. I like that bat, too. I think that bat go for some good money, bud. Jesus.
Still?
Right, probably. It's one of the best ever. No stamp, though.
Up, man.
I bet, right?
Tom's
Tom's probably got a few. Tom's probably got a few at the trailer. He does.
I've got about 5 on every freaking bat that you can know.
Yeah,
no, what I'm doing as an old guy, what I do now as an old guy DJ, I'm just building up my man cave. I have old bats that I use, jerseys, frames, the whole 9 yards, and that's under construction. So
you've done it for a long time, man.
I'm sure you're saving some things along your journey in softball.
I probably will. For people that know me, I don't like to keep stuff all that much, but I'll probably end up keeping one of those bats that Tom has the little Classic Glass logo on it, just for peace of mind, man. I've been around it since I don't know, me and little Sal and Joey, we probably watched Classic, since we were 5, 6 years old. My dad's been a part of the deal for a long time. So we got a lot of stuff that says Classic Glass on it. So I got a little soft spot in my heart for those guys.
Yeah, I think it's great that you're back with Tom this year playing. I think besides being brought up and growing up watching Classic Glass and also being part of the team, I don't think you see too many, people with that. Because there's a lot of guys who had younger sons that never got an opportunity to play on those teams. So I think it's kind of a cool little legacy you guys got going
Yeah,
over there.
Tom's, I mean, for California softball, for conference softball, for USSSA in general, I mean, he spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars over what 30 years, call it now, to help, to help guys continue to play, to help guys, get to another level, to earn respect himself with him and his son. I mean, it's going to be a sponsorship group and a program that's going to be missed when they decide to, do other things with their time and their money and their lives. But yeah, it's fun so far. It's been a really weird season with, the COVID and things getting canceled and having to kind of last minute jump around and put tournaments into the schedule. It's hard for guys. So, but hopefully this weekend we'll, win a few games and point out well and give ourselves a chance to put ourselves in a chance to have a decent seat at the Major World Series in the A World.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got a great lineup out there at the Cincy, man. I mean, it usually has a good showing, but I'm sure there's more incentive to get out to Cincinnati to play, being that this is probably what the fourth conference event, maybe fifth event up to this part
I
of the
want
year.
to say there's been a couple smaller ones. I know Arkansas is usually from what people have said, the 4th of July weekend. It's always a super fun event. But other than a couple small ones like Arkansas, Tulsa was a smaller event. But yeah, this is the second go around in Cincinnati. I think the rules and whatnot, the rules for this COVID stuff are a little bit looser here in this state, which gives us the opportunity to play. But I want to say, I was talking to my dad on a drive over, this might be the only event on the schedule now that hasn't actually changed its date. So it's kind of stayed the same the whole time. So I'm pretty certain there's 36 teams here, 25 conference teams. So it's always been a big event. It usually follows the Smoky Mountain Classic, which is kind of a back-to-back just gauntlet of like really good teams and really good players. And it's for those that, I mean, if you know the Smoky Mountain Classic, you just got done playing that senior Smoky, man. I saw that.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, I mean, the Smoky Mountain Classic is an unlimited home run tournament. And it's just all you can eat. And then this weekend, if it worked out, Cincinnati is obviously not. There's limits to home runs and fields are smaller. So it's really a test to great hitters, being able to go from swinging for it every time to having to play the game, throw the ball around, do things that, some guys necessarily don't really like doing. I mean, softball's fun when you're hitting home runs, and having to hit it down sometimes can be stressful. So it's a good back-to-back weekend event if the season's going right. But Cincinnati's always tough, always fun, and everybody comes out to these.
Yeah, it's always a good crowd out there supporting those games throughout the
Oh
day
yeah,
and the
oh
weekend.
yeah.
Correct?
The Cincy crowds, the atmosphere is. I mean, I played a lot of events. I want to say the Cincinnati event, this actual weekend, and the Seattle event, in my opinion, are probably my two favorite events. Seattle does a great job all around with, the hotel being across the street. They drag the fields, they water,
Right.
they prep. Strojan does a really good job of making that event worthwhile. It's a dual event, so you get all your money's worth. They turf the big baseball field. It's a good time. Cincinnati is. It's a little bit more old school feel. I mean, the fields are, you think that so many people that don't, that may not know the conference, like they think that all these fields are great and beautiful and stuff. But I mean, they have their rough patches just like all the other fields. But the atmosphere, it's a little bit younger crowd. A lot of dudes that are kind of in the mix with softball now are out there having beers. There's a bar that hangs over the main field, and
Yeah.
they let you have it, man. I mean, you don't expect it, but there's guys that, may or may not know you by first name, but they understand who you are based on your statistics and the years that you played and the teams that you played on. And it's kind of a show, and you're going out there to perform for those dudes. And some guys are literally going out to watch certain teams and certain players. So it's nerve wracking at times, but it's worth it,
Yeah, I mean, I think that just, you get that peak performance, that little stimulation, but that's kind of adding on what you're saying. I think there's you have one fan, but two fans of softball, like looking at seeing the long ball and etc. But I've always been a guy, yeah, I like the long ball, but I've always liked players similar to yourself. Just guys that come to play hard, find ways to win. When you see those things on a field that you don't see, whether it's a diving catch, stealing a home run, backhand, backflips, great base running,
Right.
etc.
Right.
I think that's something. I think that's a real thing. And if there's guys out there which I'm sure enjoy your game and watch your game, that's just that's an intangible. I don't think you can coach that. It's just something you're born with from
Yeah,
within.
I'd like to think that people enjoy watching me play. I mean, at times there's probably guys that probably would like to probably say some things to me that might not be okay on Facebook Live, but um you got to try to pride yourself in being really good with what you're good at, and what you can control and such. I mean, it'd be cool to stand up there and hit balls as far as Ryan Harvey or Jeremy Yates or Bama's a really complete player from our area. But I mean,
Yeah.
some of these guys just have unlimited power potential, and the ball just comes off their bat different. And yeah, I would love to be able to hit balls like that. But there's certain things that I feel like maybe I can do, and they may not be able to do so well. And it's just part of the deal. A hit's a hit. OBP is OBP. Controlling what you can control is all part of those intangibles and stuff like that, like you talk about. And if a player really hones in on like what they're good at and really dials that in and tries to make that be at the surface of their game for as many innings in a row as possible, that's the key to, like, one of the keys to success, man. If you can do what you're really good at for 5 or 6 innings a game, you're probably at the end of the deal going to be a player that people are going to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, I think every good team has everyone takes on a role. Some guys take on the role to
Oh yeah.
drive the ball. I look at you as a complete hitter because I've seen you hit your share, DJ,
Yeah.
but I know you always think about hitting line drives and getting on. But I think somebody like yourself, with their guys in front of you, well, you lead off the order, but someone getting walked or thinking you can't drive it, I think you probably have that same approach. I mean, I know the balls that I can hit out, and it's
Right.
very select. So if I'm in that
Correct.
position to drive, it's just either if it's not in my Jumanji zone, it's just
Right.
putting it where it is and putting it on the
Correct.
next guy and
Correct.
for your teammate.
There's a lot of
Another thing I want to add, I think another thing, sharing out to a lot of people, because I talk to a lot of people about ball and stuff, and you got to kind of understand what kind of hitter you are, kind of what you're saying, what you
for
bring,
sure.
what's your skills, and focus on that. I've told people if you got 305 pop on a good day, you're probably not quite a home run hitter. So you might
Right.
want to emphasize working gaps and spraying the
Exactly.
ball and situational hitting, because those home runs are going to come. But,
For sure.
I mean, I think that's a
For
big
guys
part.
like for guys like myself, for example, and you're a hitter that has prided yourself in being able to have multiple swings, to understand that like, you don't have the ability to just hit every ball out. You don't have the ability to get to 2 strikes and just say, well, you know what, I can miss it and it'll go. We talk a lot about stadium power at this level, right? Like, if you can miss it and you can hit it out of a stadium, like, that's real power. Like, that's not, hey man, I'm feeling good today, so I can let it rip. We've all had those
Mhm.
days, right? I mean, even the guys that don't hit it out a lot, you're just in that zone where it's like, hey man, everything I'm hitting is just getting into the jet stream and it's going over the fence. So, like, let's just hope a couple guys are on, because I'm gonna stick with that, because hopefully that's gonna help our team
Mhm.
win. But like, for a guy like myself, like, I play the elements a lot, man. I really do. Like, I might play him a little bit
Yeah.
too much. I might play him a little bit too much in my head, and it might psych me out a little bit. But I mean, for people that have watched me play over the years and have been around me, like, if it's cold outside, yeah, I'll try to get a little, a little funky and try to hit them out and stuff, because the balls are harder. The bats sound better. Everything feels better. I mean, if the wind's blowing out to right center, then, I'll play that card and stuff like that. But I mean, if it's a hot, humid, nasty day, like most of the time you're playing softball at this level, I mean, it's, you tend to kind of have to hit it down for guys like myself and work your walks and hit strikes and like I said, just do what you're really good at. And that's the kind of what I practice. Like, if I practice hitting
Yeah.
home runs all the time, or I practice driving the ball out of the yard, which I'm not like totally against if that's what, your job is, to do at the level, or even coming
Mhm.
up through the ranks, if that's the type of hitter that you want to be. I'm all for it. I don't care how big, how small, how fast, how slow you are, but I've I haven't that wasn't what I started doing, and it wasn't what I've, in a
Mhm.
sense, kind of become comfortable doing, on a game to game basis. So yeah, man, if it's cold out, like watch out. I'll try to let it fly and play with the big boys, but most of the
Because
time,
he ain't
man,
gonna.
exactly. Most of the time, you got to throw it around and put yourself in a position to let guys behind you feel comfortable. That's the key, right? Like building a lineup as a coach or as a team, you got to do
Yes.
everything in your power to make the guy behind you, the guy behind that, be in a spot where they're comfortable as well. It's not just about me going up there
Yeah.
taking my A swing, right? I got to make sure that
Right.
the guy behind me and the guy behind that are going to have an opportunity. That's how you build lineups. That's how you build teams. And
Right.
it's a little bit more sophisticated than just going out there and just trying to whack the ball around, I guess.
Yeah, and those are those conversations I've been wanting to have a lot more. I mean, I'm hoping to someday help a team run a team and et cetera. But kind of piggybacking on what you're saying, I think a good lineup kind of reflects with one another, making guys better. But adding to that, see, I look at you, a player, and there are a handful of players out there that make their teammates better by the hustle. I mean, if you're on base, maybe the guy behind you didn't quite hit the ball right, but your hustle to second base gives that guy a hit.
So
Because
that's
I've
like
been
the
in a
great.
situation where
Oh
a guy
yeah,
in front of me kind of trots the second, and I'm like, damn it, if you
yeah,
ran,
exactly. And
he's safe,
so you
and that's
don't
how you
you
make
don't
people better.
you
Going
don't
first to third, basically
yeah.
doubles.
People don't understand how much pressure it takes off of you when a guy goes first to third rather than just stops at second base, or a guy turns a single into a double rather than just kind of, throwing the bat out there and just kind of taking the nice, little, pimp walk turn to first base and kind of just wanting
Oh
everybody to
man,
slap hands and sign autographs, but it, we've all done
like
it.
you hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, right?
Yeah, there's always a time when a guy, I mean, staying checked in for 7, 8, 9 games, 2 hour games, hour and 45 minute games. That shit that gets hard, at times. And sometimes it's like, oh man, like I probably could have stretched that, and I just kind of brain farted. But for the most part, the less pressure, the better. And the closer you are to home base, the closer you are to home plate as a base runner, the less pressure guys have on them. And it opens so many more things up. Pitchers get scared, they get rattled, they walk you, and then it's a
Mhm.
wild deal. But yeah, without a doubt, being somebody that just gets it that way. And dudes,
Mhm.
dudes, dudes will play. I mean, you could stay on a team at a high level, get some money to play every weekend to subsidize the lack of being at work and being away from your family, because you play the game the right way, because you're going to hustle a second, and that guy that, essentially had a bad swing kind of works himself onto a hit, and that stuff goes
Mhm.
a long way, and like you said, it's one of those things that people may not talk about. You don't see it on the stats, but at the end of the year, when sponsors and coaches get together, it's like, hey man, like, Leroy's got to stay, because of these things that he did. And there's going to be teammates who, maybe care about their stats a little bit more than others, and maybe care about the business side of the game, I guess, if you want to call it, more than others. And they're going to want guys
Mhm.
like that, and at the end of the day, you can't have the best player at each position on your team. It's just not going to work that way. And those guys that
Right.
bring the intangibles to the plate and then the intangibles to the table are the ones that are going to ultimately help you win at the end, right? I mean, you play for the one tournament at the end. That's all you play for. I mean, you set yourself up. You love to be all tournament. You love to win events. You love to do things like that. But at the end of the day, when it's the A world, when it's the double A world, when it's the B world, when it's the major world series, however you want to call it, whatever you decide to go play in. I
Mhm.
mean, those 4 or 5 games are what's most important, and the little things, without a doubt, are going to help you win a game. Those
Mhm.
games, those games for sure.
Oh yeah. So all you kids, we're gonna have some good talk here because we're just starting and we're getting pretty deep.
Oh,
But
totally.
like what DJ's saying, I've always felt, you could play the game and play to win. And a lot of things I think we're gonna discuss is about playing to win. And
Right.
I think there's a lot of times over the years that I play, a lot of those little things that I used to do and I used to try to share they don't pick up on that. A lot of, the first, the thirds, I used to always tell guys, that base hit double's huge, because what hitter is overly confident now that he doesn't have to worry about topping one in a double play or
Correct.
whatever,
Correct.
or getting guys second to third.
Double plays
Yeah.
in softball are like, I mean, they're like the worst thing ever. I mean, we talk about it at the level. It's crazy. We talk about it a lot. I try to tell my team that I play on, even before we play games, every game, I tell them, like, if we turn 2 double plays this game, we're going to have a chance to win. Like, it shrinks the game. It turns the momentum. Softball's big at this level, or at any level with momentum. You know how it is, man. Even when you're playing with your buddies back home in a fun tournament in the winter, if you gain some momentum, you get a little swagger, you get a little confidence. And I mean, that's 80% of the battle, man. We all know that, especially in sports, right? It's, if you think you can do it, I mean, you're probably going to essentially maybe get it done. So it's always huge to do the right thing and take extra bases.
Yeah. I mean, understanding the game is so huge, because, I think, like I've told people in my area, I don't consider myself the best or the best athlete, but I know that there's a little bit more, I always say, between the ears and how you approach the game. And I always think that's the separation from a talented player to a well-rounded player, what's between the ears. But here's the question. You kind of touched on it a little bit about talking to your dad. So here's the 2-point question. How is it traveling with your dad, playing with your dad again, as well as I'm sure you guys have been having tons of conversations pregame and after the game. How did that start? Let's go to that one. Your conversations, you were young.
So it's funny. I just went to lunch with one of my teammates, and he had mentioned that he had mentioned that he was like excited that my mom and dad travel now, so they're like a package deal. So I gotta deal with both of them. It's rough. He said, "Man, that's super cool that that Donnie and Debbie are back, traveling and stuff. I really like them being around." And he was like, it's probably because you're on the team, And I'm like, yeah, it's a lot probably has to do with that, because now they really don't have an excuse not to show up, So it's kind of like a win-win for them. Me and my dad have had like a really weird sports relationship growing up. Mom is the one that I could always hear in the stands, always telling me the typical mom stuff, right? Don't get hurt, don't be stupid, stuff like that. But my dad and I, when it comes to talking about stuff, he doesn't really say much until I ask. And he knows once I start asking, then there's a problem. Then I've probably lost a little bit of confidence. But he's, over the years, seen the game change so much that it's a lot of what we talk about. We talk a lot like during the week, right? Like for the time being, my parents were selling their home, just doing the buying, selling, and downsizing because they're getting old and retirement. So I stayed with them for a little while, and my dad does all the booking and all the rental cars and all the behind the scenes stuff for Tom. And we talk a lot about lineups. We talk a lot about who's coming, who's going, stats. He's trying to kind of like stay mainstream with all this, but him and I talk a lot about like kind of like what you and I were talking about, earlier in this deal, like how do you build a team with guys that are going to contribute not only for themselves, but they're going to be able to help their teammates contribute as well. Like, you can't just take the best player, because that best player may only be able to do what's good individually for himself, which is okay, right? I mean, there's certain guys that I've played with over the course of my career where it's like, he may not be the best teammate for the other guys, but he's so good where we're going to have to deal with this. And then we're going to have to be a better all-around teammate for him because he's so valuable, right? So,
it's the right team, man.
Exactly. So it's been fun, because for the last couple of years, me being on New Breed and Pure and some other teams, I've kind of listened to my dad's talks about Classic Glass, or just his softball talks in general from the outside looking in. But now I'm a part of it, so we obviously get a lot more into it in terms of how it's going to go down, and what he thinks a guy should do, or what I think a guy should do, or how I should challenge. A lot of it is, for me and my dad, is like what can I say to these guys or my team, because he's been around a lot of these dudes. 5 or 6 of these guys have been together with Classic for 3 or 4 years now, which you don't really see at this
Yeah.
level anymore. Guys tend to up and leave a lot. So he knows these dudes personally, more than I do per se, because I haven't been around them for a couple years and whatnot. So he gives me some insight on how to approach him and how to attack him and how to challenge him on how to do, how to get better or how to win or how to, come out of a bad at bat, blah, blah, blah. So it's,
Well, keep in mind
it's,
there, I don't want to interrupt, but see things I'm going to talk on the defensive side too. Besides the hitting side, it's getting guys to work together on the defensive side, figuring
so,
out how to get guys out.
so when I, for those that know me, I don't shut up, but when I get in the huddle and I,
Me
make
either.
my win one for the Gipper speech before each game, when we break our huddle, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, play great defense, like screaming, like I want them to hear that. I want them to hear that. I want the other team to hear that, because I've played against teams over the course of my career where if they space well, if they close holes, if you know that if you don't split a gap or split a hole, and you're going to be out. And it is really, really hard to play against teams where that defense is a priority. You love playing against the teams where they don't space well. They kind of stand there with their hands on their hips, and we're just going to try to beat you with gorilla ball and come back from a 20-run lead or a deficit, and you like playing teams like that
Preach it.
because you like playing teams like that because it's like stealing candy from a baby sometimes, because at the end of the day, like,
Oh
I don't
man.
care I don't care how good of a hitter you are or how good of a team you can be offensively. At some point you're going to struggle that weekend,
Uh-huh.
and defense will keep you in it. Pitching is at this level 100%. Pitching and defense is the reason guys there's probably some mental things that probably go into it, but pitching and defense without a doubt is what brings guys to this level and will keep guys at this level. There are
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dudes that can hit a ball coming in at 6 miles an hour, really hard, really far, you know, anywhere they want, essentially, right? But at this
Right.
level, you got to realize that all those hits you were getting climbing the ladder, they're going to shrink just because the athleticism has increased, just because pitchers take mental notes. They understand, like, hey man, like,
Definitely.
DJ's going to hit this pitch out every time for a solo or a two runner, maybe in not a spot where we need a solo or a two runner. If I throw it there,
Right.
they're getting a run, but they're losing a dinger. Or if I throw it here, he's going to hit a ball in that spot every time. So when I throw it, jump the hole, he's going to hit it right to you. He's out.
Mhm.
Tendencies, things like that. Like, we're creatures of habit, right? So pitching and defense
Right.
is humongous at this level.
Scatter
Like,
plots. Scatter
probably the
plots.
most. Yeah, it's out of control.
It's I have that conversation so much. I think the last couple years in my age playing with guys and try to mentor them, and they don't quite understand me, or maybe they don't know me too well. But I go, you got to evolve with the game, man. You can't have an ED mentality going to play C or C to B, B to A. As you said, the holes shrink up, better talent, stronger arms, shifting defenses,
Mm-hmm.
outfielders, and pitchers. And you can't go out with that attitude, And I go, you can watch the upper teams. You don't hear too much. It's okay. It's different. It's business at that level. So it's
Right,
that passion
right.
play.
It's one of
But
those deals where, like,
yeah,
you get to a spot where if you're a player that's coming through the ranks and has the opportunity or the ability to have certain eyes see you and connect you to the right people, right? I mean, like, in professional baseball, there's scouts that do that. Like, in slow pitch softball, in this fraternity, it's a lot of hearsay, right? It's a lot of, like, he's good,
right.
give him a chance. But it's deeper
He's old.
than,
Give him a chance.
or it's like,
What's the
it's a
win?
lot deeper than, like you said, can he just whack it? Can he just, can't, does, whatever, yada, yada, yada. There's so much that goes into it. And there's a few things that I say, like, when a dude is like, hey man, like, I want a chance, like, I want to play and this and that. First thing I say, first thing I ask the guy is, can you travel? How accountable can you
Mm-hmm.
be? You know, like, does your job, does your family, does your wife, does any other extracurricular hobby or thing that you have passion with, is this going to interfere with being able to have 30 or 35, you just call it 40 days out of the year, which doesn't sound like much, but it really does. It does add up to where you can completely focus for 72 hours, a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday solely on this, and be able to just
Mm-hmm.
disconnect from your life and be able to, you know, still keep things okay. And then, you know, just really, really dial in on that. That's the first thing I ask them. And then usually the second thing I ask them is, can they play defense? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, you know, I can do this, I can do that, I can play D, I can play defense, and yada yada yada. And I'll watch them, and they'll catch, or they'll DH, you know, or they'll you know, have a buddy go out there and play. It's super super important to be able to play really 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 good defense at this level, you know. And
As
go ahead.
I tell a lot of NorCal guys that are wanting that opportunity shot. I go, you guys come out to these backyard tournaments and you guys act like you've made it. Because when you're out there playing with, you know, guys with like yourself or, you know, whoever's in the conference, that's the time to shine. I understand not hurting yourself, but I go, in the game, you're going to hustle, you're going to play hard. How not to
Right,
get hurt in a backyard is not sliding stupidly, running
right,
into a fence. You know, that's how you
right.
say. But to me, I've always played backyarders and I've always played hard because I got to condition my legs and play the game
Correct,
correctly, you know.
correct. So
But
like
that's where you stand out,
when
doing
you
the right
right
things.
when we play like stuff in the backyard, I have a super, he's been my dude since, I don't know, 2010 is when I was introduced to him, Anthony Big Wood. And
Mm-hmm.
him and I have hit BP. We've hit thousands of balls together. We've played in, I don't know, hundreds of not 100, but you know what I'm saying, man. Like, if there's an opportunity to play with
Yeah.
Anthony now, I'm playing with him, right? And we'll play in backyard
Mm-hmm.
events, and he'll play with me, but I'll play with guys that I know, but like don't really know, but they know Anthony. And they're like, man, like, DJ's a maniac. Like, what is he doing out here? Like, he's taking walks. He's like super serious about this. Like, what is his problem? And like, I'm over the top, right? Like, I got some serious obsessive problems with the sport, right? But if I'm gonna be the best grass
Passion,
grower, I'm
passion.
whatever. If you're gonna say
One gear only, man.
watch the grass grow, like, why not be the best grass grower watcher ever? Ask Bigley about that statement, right? Like, I learned that at Chabot Junior College too. Like, someone's gonna say do
Mm-hmm.
something, I might as well try to be good at it. I may not be, but I'm gonna try. So, but it creates a habit, right? Like, if that's how I'm
Right.
gonna like approach when, hey man, come out and play softball with me this weekend. If I'm gonna approach it that way all the time, when the pressure's on, or when it's a bigger tournament, or when it's a tournament that's more or less like with the team I'm supposed to play on, it should ultimately not be as tough, right? There shouldn't be a reason, like,
Right.
you shouldn't be scared of a swing you've never taken, right? You shouldn't be scared of a
Yes.
play you've never made, right? Like, you can't be nervous of something that hasn't happened. However, but if you prepare yourself correctly, you have the opportunity to be successful. I'm not saying you're going to be, but if you prepare yourself right, you have the opportunity to be successful. And going out there in the fun tournaments, in the backyard tournaments that
Yeah.
prepare you to play in your season, quote unquote, um, there's going to be less stress when it starts to get serious. In my opinion, that's kind of what it is. But yeah, people have always, wondered, like, hey man, like, it's January and you made an out and you're like slamming your bat down, and it's like, well, that wasn't what I was trying to do there. That wasn't where that ball was supposed to go. I mean, when you do something, you wanna really really be good at it, and that's how you got to
I
approach.
relate.
That's how you got to approach the tournaments that are off season events. Because if you do it
I
there, when it gets
yeah.
time to like really go, it's not. It's just going to be normal.
I agree. I don't think there's no on-off switch button, man. It's either there
Very few
or it's
people.
not. And
Very few people.
I was the
We've all
same
had
way.
athletes. We've all had friends that you could say, "Hey, man, this dude could just turn it on and off." I know a few guys right now that I played baseball and softball with, where, hey, man, like, this dude's just going to show up and be really, really good. But I would never, I can't do that. And 9 out of 10 guys can't do that. 10 out of 10 guys
Knowing
can't do that.
yourself.
100%. And there's some dudes that can, and more power to them. I mean,
Yeah,
there's there's
definitely. Yeah.
guys that I take like a ton of batting practice, but there's some guys that take way less batting practice than I do, and they're better players. It's not a knock on me, it's not a knock on them, but however they got to get ready to be successful, that's how they do it, and I got to do it a different way. That's just the way it is.
Swings. It's what gives you confidence every weekend to compete at the level you want to compete. More
100%.
reps, you're in great shape. That's part of your game, the conditioning. We all do what we have to do to not just play the game, but to win at the game. And some do more. I mean, there's
Without
times
a
I'll
doubt.
have buddies around my area say, you take walks in backyard
Oh yeah.
boogies. And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, I think it shows good because I go, I'm going to have faith in my buddy that I may not play ball in. But to me, I feel like I'm almost big leaguing my friends if I'm too good to take a 3-1 pitch or swing a ball out of the zone just because I'm saying I don't
Right.
walk. Because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
there to hit, he's there to hit. And I said, if I need more swings, I'll go take BP, man.
Without a doubt. Oh, that's like my
You know?
number one deal. We got guys that you play or you'll play a league night game with. And so we get this a lot with league. I mean, everybody knows Joey Gonzalez back home, and we've played some leagues together with some really good teams with all the local buddies in Hayward and Pleasanton. And, we'll get out to a big lead, and Joey is, you could tell him I said this, Joey's the king of like, hey, man, let him score some runs so we can get another at bat. I'm like, nah, man. Nah. You want another at bat, homie? Like, take batting practice for me tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So we're going to beat these dudes, and we're going to go to dinner, and then we're going to go home and go to bed. But yeah, no, I think it's important. I mean, there's a couple guys that have been around a little while. There's a young up and comer that comes out. I mean, his name's Tanner. He plays on Joey's little C team Bay Area Legends. He's from
Yeah.
the Bay, and Lou Rivera comes out. We hit 4 days a week, man. We hop a fence and get it in, and myself and Lou. I mean, we're getting old, so I mean, we're about as good as we're ever probably going to get. But this Tanner kid, man, I mean, he comes out and he puts the work in, and there's days that he's tired from work and the normal life, but we make him grind it out, and he's a guy that, like, once he starts to believe that he can play, for example, because I'm just speaking on one of 10 guys that I can think of, but we hit a lot. Once he starts to believe that he can play, then he's probably going to get an opportunity to really do it. You got to believe in yourself. I mean, I could say you're good all you want, but if you don't get it, then it's not going to work. So.
Right. So let's go into BP. So when it comes to BP, you still using cones or no?
I see a couple guys with the cones, man. I shy away from those cones. However, but give me a break. Let me backtrack a second. So this spot we hit at has three designated areas that I can see as a visual, and those are my cones. So you and Soli have instilled in my head that we got to hit it to the cones. So, yeah, man. I mean, the 5-6, the 1-6. Oh yeah, the 5-6, the 1-6, and the right center gap are usually those are my three things that I focus on when I come up to the plate, right? Like, I have three spots where those are open, and I feel that that's the right. I got to, I can't. Some guys are like, hey, if it's inside, I'm pulling, and if it's outside, I'm going backside. And I'm like, man, I can't do that. I'm not smart enough to just react like that. I got to pick a spot. So, but yeah, man, when we're whacking, it's controlled, man. I mean, I know Lou and I know Tanner and Wood and the guys that I hit with. There's not a lot of people I like to hit with. If they just come out and just want to throw it around, they're not hitting with me. I can't deal with that. I don't like picking up balls like that. They got to be in one spot for me. I'm getting too old. But yeah, I mean, I don't use cones. I don't use cones if you're gonna brow bash me. But I definitely have my three spots.
Oh, I will.
Know. Yeah, I definitely.
You're hitting 800 right now, Bubba.
I try my best. I like to walk. People know me like I like
Walks
to walk.
Are good.
I don't like to swing. Oh yeah, I don't like to swing.
Dennis Ruley told me when they used to have the Concord Major, and that's what I used to like then, and that's when I was getting more exposed to that upper ball in the late 90s. He was playing with Dan Smith. And I was talking to him, and he started talking about walks. He goes, I don't care. He goes, I bat 11th. I'll walk 20 times. He goes, my pocket's getting fatter. I'm getting on base, and that is my job. There is nothing wrong with walks.
There is a few players in the country where if I was their coach and if I was somebody who was sponsoring the group, one name comes to mind, two names come to mind because they both like to walk. Everett Williams and Flip Washington. So they have incredibly good eyes. and they'll walk a lot because they're extremely dangerous hitters. I would love if those two dudes swung the bat more, because I think that just with their leverage and how good that they are at covering the zone, I think that they can hit balls, quote unquote, out of the strike zone. And them swinging the bat sometimes, in all honesty, is probably more beneficial than them not swinging the bat, in my opinion, if I was their coach, because a guy like Flip is, I mean, you can argue that there's maybe only 3 or 4 players better than him. Same thing with Everett. Same thing with Bama. Guys like that. If they walk, the guy behind him is probably going to be there might be some pressure on him, and there might be they might have a little bit of nerves going on with that. And, it's hard to tell a dude to come out of the strike zone and to not swing at strikes, which I think 100% is the most important thing in the game, swinging at strikes. Anybody say, man, why did I take a bad swing? First question, was it a strike? No. Okay, swing at a strike, and then if you take another bad swing, we'll talk about it. First question, very few guys can hit bad pitches well. Chris Terry is a guy that likes to swing a lot, very aggressive, been a successful player. Greg Cannell is a guy that swings the bat a lot, doesn't really take pitches, and he's one of the best ever. But most of these players that can stay around the level, like, they will walk without a doubt, and it won't bother them one bit. But there are, for a guy like myself, like, I need to find a way on base any way I can. If you're going to throw me 3 straight balls, and I'm really, really small, so it's really hard to throw me a strike at times. And I take advantage of being nice to the umpire. I hope no umpires are watching, but I take advantage of being nice to the umpires. I kind of try to do these little shimmies and these duck unders if you watch me play, and sometimes it works. It is what it is. And but I don't need to be a guy that swings. I don't need to be, because that's, I don't shrink the field with my power. So singles for me I can go first to third, so it works out. So I just try to take advantage of knowing what a strike or a ball is, in my opinion, and hopefully the umpire thinks the same. When I don't swing, it's a ball. That's kind of my deal. I try to tell them if I'm not swinging, it's not a strike, because I know the zone. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Are you Honus Wagner, man?
I try.
Honus Wagner line with the tight top.
I try to be.
Yeah, that's the role. So so you played some professional baseball, but I'm kind of going from professional baseball. I'm gonna who first? I mean, you were exposed to softball at a young age, but did you kind of get yourself into softball once baseball was done, or did someone kind of say, "Hey, let's start playing these EB tournaments"?
So
the first time I heard your name was from Chris Gomez.
Yeah, guys like Chris Gomez,
a long time ago.
Yeah, Mike Parker. Some of those guys had played on like some of the E&D teams and stuff like that when I first started. I'd always told my dad, like, this softball stuff is easy. Like, you guys are out here like practicing, like, this is softball, like as a kid, like playing catch with the guys and, being around these dudes. That's what I mean. I learned how to catch a ball and throw a ball by going to softball tournaments, not baseball. I didn't start playing baseball till I was 10. So, I did play a little bit of E and D, I guess you'd want to call it, in the winter time leading up to the 2009 season. And in the 2009 season was the first year Tom really built, essentially a monster team and joined the conference. And I think I was just kind of grandfathered in, just because I had been around him for so long. Tom was like, yeah, man, Charles was the coach, and Tom and my dad, helped, do all the other, things, and Tommy, and I was the 13th guy, Sal, Joey Smith, and Josh Carter were all in the outfield, and I was just kind of like that baseball dude that thought I was really good and had to kind of just, learn that way, and just, there's one of those kind of just throw me in the fire kind of a deals. For a long time, I was overwhelmed. For 3 or 4 years, I was pretty overwhelmed. I didn't really know how to practice. I didn't really know, what I was good at. I really didn't know what teams or sponsors or, major teams like really thought about players or positions or how to play or what to do. I was pretty overwhelmed, and it was tough, but I guess I got lucky in a sense. It was kind of like, baseball to a top B team, based on, I guess you just call it luck of the draw. I had no business. I should have probably played D and C and kind of maybe done that for a couple of seasons, really learned how to hit the holes, really learned, what it was like to play an hour and 15 or an hour and 20-minute game, how to hit without a home run, things like that. Understand that 300-foot fields are way different than baseball fields, things like that. But it just didn't work out that way. So I learned on the fly. I really did. But, Garrett Sullivan was a guy that once I stopped playing baseball, he brought the tee out. We went to, Burrell Field in Saliandro and was like, if you're going to be good at softball, you got to learn how to hit off a tee. You got to hit the 5-6. You got to hit the one. I'm like, wait, what? Who, what? Like, can't we just, there you go. There you go. It's like, can't we just hit home runs? Like, I thought this is it's just hit and sit. Like, what is this? I'm just going to chase all the balls down in the outfield and just whack the ball as far as I can, right? It's pretty easy. He's like, no. So Garrett Sullivan and I hit a lot. Brian Moran and I hit a lot. We worked together for a few years. We hit a ton of softballs together. So the guys like yourself and Garrett and Randy Rolling and some of those dudes that had played for Tom for years that I knew when I was a young kid had some influence on me and would come out. Walt Haley is probably the best teammate I've ever played with. And you could tell that they knew that I was like pretty obsessed with it quickly. And they took the time out of their day to kind of let me know that, don't go middle with a guy at first. Don't hit a 2-runner with a man at third base. Like the little things that helped. I mean, Damian Smith helps me to this day, and we haven't been teammates since 2009. I mean, and for a guy like that, similar to my skills in terms of how we play the game offensively, for him to still care about, my success is pretty cool, and it means a lot, you know what I mean? But yeah, I got lucky, I did. I won't lie about that. I did get lucky. I didn't really have to kind of grind it out like a lot of these players at the lower levels. Cause man, I'll tell you what, if I went to a tournament and couldn't hit a home run, I wouldn't play. It's super hard to be a good hitter without home runs, man. It really, really is. We've played in some events where it's unlimited home runs, but you can't hit a solo home run. It's an inning out. So going into it knowing you can hit as many home runs as you want, but you can't hit a solo, I mean, you got dudes that can really play the game screwing up, and really having to focus and really having to grind out at bats and take walks and hit the ball down and sometimes making out for the team. It's tough, man. And the lower levels really teach you how to hit, man. If you take it, right, you're only going to get you're only going to get out of it what you put into it, right? If you're going to go out there and just kind of play and just have fun, I mean, I get it. That's fine. But if you're going to go out there and really accomplish something and really want to make this like a career hobby, you got to treat it different.
I always tell young people, and I hit with some people, because I'm kind of like you, and I get overzealous. I get a little into it. I start preaching and being philosophical. But I then come to a conclusion. I say, well, it depends what you want out of the game. If you're content hanging out, drinking beers, hitting these nutters, then that's fine. But I'm just coming from a guy that if you love the game, you want to give it a shot. That's where I come from, and I'm sure that's where you come from. 100%. Going back to Walt Haley, he's one of the few guys that do the unassisted double play at first. And I remember we talked about that years ago, and I'm surprised. I understand the guys are stronger and better, but I still think there's opportunity for that.
Without a doubt, Walt was, and is still to this day, I still talk about that 2009 season. So Walt Haley, Damian Smith, Johnny Molina, and Timmy Yules all played together through the middle there on Classic Glass's team. And individually, we could sit down and have another conversation about who may have been better individual players than those four guys. But as a unit, it's been a long time, if ever, since I've seen a unit. There was a pure team that was put together a couple years ago that won the AA that as a unit probably could compare. I've never seen a group turn more double plays unassisted at first. Timmy Yules was incredible at taking the line drive and backing up enough to where it would short hop in order to turn the double play instead of just having the line out be caught. But Walt was fearless. and would always play up against the bag at first base and kind of dare the guys. You know, he would definitely do it with the guys that really weren't, you could tell over the course of playing against the same guys a lot, you know, hey man, this guy really doesn't like going in the 3-4 hole with a man at first. If I just dare him to do it, he's gonna screw it up, you know. And by watching, and you know, you can watch the game and have some beers and chit chat with your buddies, but still learn, right? And still scout and still understand that, like, this dude really likes hitting it. He really likes hitting it here. So I'm just simply gonna stand here, and hopefully he hits it somewhere else. If he hit, it is what it is. But Walt, I don't know. I mean, I haven't. Other people could probably compare guys that can turn that tag the runner, tag the bag. But I've never been around somebody other than Walt that can do it as fearless. Yeah, he's fearless. He was fearless, and I mean, he did the right thing offensively a ton, you know. And he was one of those guys that, going back to what I was saying about like the flips and the Everett's maybe swinging the bat a little bit more and taking some pressure off teammates behind him. Walt was a guy that he fully understood the strengths and weaknesses of the man in front of him, the man behind him, the man behind that. And he knew that there was probably going to be times where he had to maybe come out of his comfort zone and do things offensively that would help those guys around him. Maybe if it was something he didn't want to do, but it was super fun being around him for a few seasons. It really was.
Yeah, I really stress that. I mean, last weekend we were in Tennessee, had a new group of guys. We never played together. You know, we just kind of just picked the team to go out there and play. But I noticed something. Right. You know, I was sharing like our left side of the defense. I go, man, you guys had no chances. You guys are getting no ground balls or around the ball. We gotta move together. I say, like, my ankle has a chain to your ankle, and if I move, you're, you know, a lot of shifting, and there was just a lot of people whiting out and not actually doing what they need to do. I think you froze. Are you frozen? Uh-oh. Who's out in Cincinnati? They have a game tonight. Classic Glass play at 7:45. I think he's coming back home. Uh-oh. You may not be in the right area. Let me go grab something that may help out. So while you're there, you can see something that I use and one of my sponsors. Yeah, so we're talking with DJ Hollingworth here, playing his 12th year in conference ball. He's back with Classic Glass. Classic Glass plays tonight at 7:45. I think Cheap Suits plays at the same time, which I'm not 100% sure. So I'm hoping DJ can come back on. So thank you for coming on this early morning. As I said, talking to some of my buddies out there in Cincinnati, I said, hey, I'm going to help you kind of get through that long weekend and those long breaks and try to go on live and do other things. Some of you right now, you know, some people don't really like the tea, and I do have my tea set up, and I try to get on it, you know, as of late, because sometimes it's hard in my area to hit balls. And, you know, it's not necessarily, it keeps you in tune, but it's more staying flexible and maintaining bat speed and stuff. And that's a good thing with the tea. Uh-oh, he just, right now. I'm going to give a little message out to him. I must send him a little thing. Great chat we got going on here today. All right, we're back here. We're with DJ Hollingsworth. I still got a lot of questions. I haven't got to him. Oh, he's gonna lead the Mike. He's probably gonna go with the whole dinger. So, anyways, it's hard to get some questions. You know, if you've ever been around DJ or talked with DJ, he really passionate sport, and he'll go get going. So some of you, I've seen some of the questions like Langenhorst as well as good to see you on, Garrett. I still want to get an interview with you, Mr. Sullivan, and I think it'd be wonderful to get you and Martin together on a chat with two of NorCal's best hitting, catching, DHing, and defensive strategists. Because I've told a lot of people when I played softball, I don't necessarily listen to DH or catchers when they try to defense me or try to give me some knowledge on the defensive side. And there's been very few in my days and career, but talking with Garrett as well, Sully, and as well as Martin, those are two guys that actually I would, I was very receptive to what they have to say. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can invite them all on. Boom. Donald. All right. Sorry, guys. Always alive life. So I just invited Donald back on, or DJ, see if he can come back on. So we're waiting here. I know someone asked. Oh, there he is. He's coming back on. We'll be adding him. So there's the old tier. I'm here at my house broadcasting, which I normally don't broadcast. Oh, there he is.
I'm back.
All
Bingo.
right. Did you come off because you wanted to finish breakfast?
I don't know how to. No, I don't know how to use these phones, man. I don't know what's going on. I slid something down. It was all bad. What were we? You were talking. We were with Walt Haley, talking about Walt Haley, and then you got into something that I feel like was going to be good, and then I lost it.
Oh man. La 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 la. See, we're talking about that defense and wall. Oh, shifting of defensive players. How I was saying, I don't know what I mean. There's times in the infield. There's times I give some information to my defense, and then I see that hitter pluck that hole, and it drives me mad. When you're in the outfield, do you ever try to help the defense or work defensively?
I mean, I over talk in the outfield a lot. Me personally, I do my best to not move out there. I guess a lot. I try to get into a position where back what I was saying is I want guys to hit it right to me. I don't want to run around anymore. I didn't want to run around at 25. I don't want to run around at 35. But I like to try to disguise the size of a gap, especially in the outfield. I like to play tricks on hitters and stuff like that. But for the most part, at this level, it's either at you or by you, right? So I don't really overshift a ton. We play at the Major World Series, and it's all you can eat. So obviously, it's a bigger field. So I like to overshift because guys are going to swing for it a lot. That's what kind of gets them paid, if you want to call it that. Right. But I tend to kind of hang around the bag right through the middle of the diamond. I'll play opposite of the 5-man a lot to kind of create some decent spacing from what the hitter's looking at. He's going to see the 5-man on one side, but if he sees me in the outfield on the other side of the hole, then maybe it'll change his game plan a little bit. But I scream at my corner outfielders a lot. I'm always having them pinch the line on 2 strikes. I'm always having them, guess early in the game, take a chance, do stuff like that. I rarely, if I'm screaming at somebody, I'm screaming at the pitcher, usually to set up. So he doesn't get so if he's going to have something come through the middle that I feel might come through there, that he's just ready for it. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to catch it. These guys hit it so hard, but just to give the look. And if the 1-6 or the 1-4 hole are a little too big, I'll say something. But for the most part, man, I kind of just dial in with my 2 outfielders. It's so hard to play defense. I'm terrible at fielding a ground ball, like terrified of the ball, don't want to do it, never wanted to do anything with it. So I try to stay away from, saying things that may be taken the wrong way. You got to make good throws. But I mean, spacing is so big, right? Like you have to make holes all look the same in terms of how small they are. A big hole is like candy for a baby for great hitters, right? I know sometimes you can't like not do it, but given an injury, or maybe a pitcher doesn't fall to the hole a certain way properly, or a guy's, doesn't have a strong enough arm and this guy does, and you got to space funny, and it creates a big hole. But good spacing is super key. But I tend to stay away from telling the infielders kind of what to do. I kind of let them kind of handle their own business. But I'm big on making sure my outfielders are, pinching the gaps with 2 strikes, are making sure that we all kind of have an idea on what the dude did the last couple at bats. You got to let them know where the fence is at. Just the typical outfield stuff that we all learn as kids. But, hopefully my defensive guys, there's 1 or 2 leaders on the field on defense that can create good spacing. I mean, I see it. I'm in center field. So if it gets kind of ugly, then I definitely say something. But, usually it's okay. I played with some good 5-men and some good shortstops over my career, so they space pretty well.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I'm always been a kind of guy. I like to see great hitters beat me with something I've never seen them done. And obviously, there's just some hitters that don't matter
Correct.
where you
You want
play.
to make dudes take their B swing on defense, right? Like you want to take your A swing on offense. So you're hoping you're going to go up there with the opportunity to do that. But on defense, you want them to do what they're not good at, right? And if they beat you doing what they're not good at, I get it a lot, right? Like Ben Falcone is Ben Falcone's a big buddy of mine. We hit a lot. I mean, he's a very polished hitter, but he likes to hit the ball in the 3-4 hole. He likes to pull the ball, and it's not, and he, it's not that he can't do anything else, but I tend to dare him to hit the ball in the left center gap, and we're in Phoenix this year, and we're playing an unbelievable undefeated final game in Arizona. It was like a 53-48 game, and Ben is just peppering the left center gap, and guys are screaming at me, "You're an idiot. What are you doing?" He's whacking the left center gap. I'm like, that's his B swing. Like, I'm not going to I'm not letting him take his A swing. And if he's going to beat me 4 times with his B swing, then cool. So be it. But yeah, sometimes I take the rap.
But where was your 5-man on those balls? Was he on the pull side or was he on that opposite
No,
side?
when I was trying to make Ben go backside, I had our 5-man pushed on the backside because I thought Ben was just gonna, I wanted Ben to go backside, so I pushed my 5-man to the pull side because I thought Ben was gonna try to just pump it down. And our pitcher was agile enough to fill the hole. On our shortstops, essentially he's definitely our best athlete. Him and our second baseman are definitely our best athletes on defense. So I figured he'd be able to. But Ben was going line drive through the gap, and he just had a really good game. I mean, I made a good catch on him and in one at bat and kind of ruined a little bit of his rhythm, but he was all over it that game, taking his B swing. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you're like, shit, man, you just tip your hat and just keep it moving. But if we had
a great year this year. He's having a great year this year. So, those are the kind of games you need to have your B swing on.
I talked to him a lot, man, and he had a great duel. I mean, unfortunately, Chief Zeus didn't play a lot of games, but it's a tough event. But if you go into a duel, whether you play 5 games or you play 10 games, and you come out of that only making a few outs, you're setting yourself up to have a really good season, and I talked to Ben about that a lot, and, he's a guy that can absolutely hit at the level, like without the shadow of a doubt. But I've told him, I've told him a ton. I'm like, you got to play defense. You got to put yourself in a position where you're playing first base, you're playing a corner outfield position, because what he does offensively is prototypical for a corner outfielder. A leadoff hitting first baseman is okay. Steven Lopez, Stewie spent 6 years at the top of the game being a leadoff hitter that played first base. So they let go of the opportunity to put a power hitting first baseman at a position that Stewie played because he was so good offensively. And Ben is the same type of guy. And it would benefit his team for him to play some defense, to allow a big banger to be behind the plate and whack home runs and do what those guys are supposed to do.
Right.
But we've talked about it. I told
fly
him,
balls, man.
Yeah, no kidding, man. I told him we talk a lot, and I told him a few days ago. I said, man, you get through these next couple events, and you're still at a good you're still on good pace, man. I said, you really need to focus on doing the right thing and playing some defense and letting people know that, hey, man, I'm a complete player, you know, because he
Right.
cares about it a lot. He's one of the guys that cares about
Yes.
it a lot, for sure, for sure.
I like Ben. I've known him for years since he was a gorilla, and talk
Yes,
hitting, hit
yes.
with them a lot, play with them a lot, and like I was unfortunate. I was gonna go hit with you guys a couple weeks ago, but I couldn't get out there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I
No,
look
it would
forward
have
to
been a
hitting
good
with you
time.
guys in the future. But got about 10 or 15. But got two more questions I was gonna ask you. What kind of advice would you give some young current players that want to play conference? I think we touched on it, but what would be
We
something right
touched on
now
it. Number
for
one
them
for
to start?
sure is accountability. Number one, without a doubt, is accountability. You know, can you do it if it becomes more than just, you know, being 15 minutes from your house at your local ballpark and you can go home at night and sleep in your own bed? You know, like number two, like how important is playing defense? You know, how important is
Mm-hmm.
staying in shape and caring about playing defense? You know, and you have to be a little obsessed with this deal. You can't just say it's just softball. Like that is, for me, that's like a pet peeve of mine, right? Like,
Right.
you know, it's just softball, right? Like it's not that serious. Like that's like a turn off for me. Like you have to let those people who, like, I'm not going to offer up those questions to you if I don't see some potential, right? Like if I don't see that you have the opportunity in my mind to do it and have people respect, you know, what you do. Um, and if you're going to, like, if those things are going to be checked off the list for me, then I want to see like how do you act at practice? Do you practice? How do you act at a local backyard tournament with your buddies? Like, I'm not saying you can't have a couple beers and you know, say hi to all the girls and be a good dude and be fun but when it's time to play, there's unwritten rules, right? Doing the right thing,
You're
hitting
not
the
walking on the
ball.
field right when the last out is made. You're ready to go. You're ready to play catch,
Correct.
stretch your
Like,
body.
you
You're
know,
ready to walk
there's
on.
there's there's things that stand out, right? And it has nothing to do with how many hits you got. It has nothing to do with how fast you run. It has nothing. I mean, that's all part of the deal, but those little things are like way important, right? And if you want to do it, man, like you got to understand it's not easy, right? Like these dudes you watch, I mean, I do it and I play against these guys a lot, right? And they make it look easy. So that's why everybody thinks they can play in the big leagues. Oh, I can play in the big leagues. I can do that. It's like, no, you think you can do that because he's so good at doing it. It looks easy. It's not easy. It's extremely hard. But you know, you got to understand that it's just more than how far can I hit it? How hard can I hit it? You know, things like that. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it because someone's spending a lot of money on you to do
Right.
this, right? Whether they're paying you or not, right? I mean, there's 12 guys on a team. You're going to 12 tournaments. I mean, you're spending $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 for a dude's hotel, his rental car, his flight, his meal, his whatever you want to call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know Tom. You know, Tom and I go way back. I mean, the dude spent millions of dollars on this, like over the years. So you can't take that for granted and just think like, oh man, like it's just softball. It's not, you know, because if the shoe
That's
was
what
in
I'm
your
supposed to
ball was
get.
it
You got to earn that stuff. You got to
exactly.
work for that
Yeah,
stuff. Some people think I'm
100%.
supposed to be handed to it.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I would do. I tend to say, like, if you want to play at the level, like, can you be accountable? You know, can you be there, right? I don't care if you're the best player in the world. If you're not going to be there, you're no good to me, right? Can you be accountable?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then I kind of like, I'll teeter on, like, you know, I'll kind of watch them and how they approach the stuff that doesn't matter, right? The off-season stuff. They approach that shit the right way, then they got a chance, in my opinion. But it's hard, you know, because so many guys are so good, they stay for so long, you know, and they keep themselves in shape for so long. I mean, there's teams where dudes have played for 20 plus years, you know, and there's young guys
Yeah.
that are trying to take their spot, but they have a resume and they can continue to do it. So if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? That's how the conference level is, right? If it's not broke, don't fix it. So
Right.
some guys, it's like minor league baseball. Some guys get kind of stuck for a while and it sucks because then it might take the juice out of them and they may not want to continue to grind. But yeah, it's hard because these dudes that care about it a lot stay in shape for a long time. I mean,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
that's why I'm kind of hoping, a lot for the young guys that, start more guys, more people start stepping up and say, you know what, we're used to playing E and D. Let's start getting used to just playing B and C or even C and D. Let's
right,
get more C teams out
right.
there so we can have more open type of C open tournaments and get people exposed. And maybe somebody would want to step up. I think it's great. I don't know them too well, but the Express Athletic guys with Kyle Lee and Hugh, I mean,
100%. I sat
what
with him on
nice
the
to see
plane
them
today.
putting a team together.
Kyle Lee has Kyle Lee cares about this a lot. You know,
Yeah.
he's somebody that wants to be around it, and I feel like the money that he has to spend each year on his hobby is, I think he wants it to be softball. You know, I mean, there's no return on
Yeah.
this investment here, right? The guys that spend all this money, they're not getting nothing back, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? They do it because they enjoy it, right? And teams like that are, yeah, you want to keep guys like that around because they're the new batch of Tom Formosas and Dan Smiths and Travis Rismondos and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
to the extent maybe they can't get to that extent with their payroll and stuff and their budget, but you know, those guys have been around a long time. At some point they're going to not want to do it, you know, and then guys like Kyle and guys like Joey and the MPT
Mm-hmm.
guy, Mark, he's kind of made a brand for himself. I mean, in a short time, those guys are going to be the new crop of sponsorship groups and programs and stuff. And, you know, those young guys are going to have an opportunity, you know, because probably when those OG sponsors leave is when the OG players are going to probably start to maybe not want to be around anymore either because, you know,
Yeah.
they don't like change either, right? They don't like change either, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. But
One more thing. So this could be a tough one. I know it's nothing personal, but name a couple up and comers that you think that may the first time I saw Bama last year we played a tournament in Antigua. I watched them, but after a weekend of watching that guy swing it, I was like, Jesus Christ, I told people
he's
he's the
special.
real deal, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Bama's
But is
special.
there yeah, but up and comers that you
I,
think, and what do they possess? What's that little special thing that some of these people you think, I'd like to see I think Louis ready to really break out, man. Playing with him
Lou
last
Rivera.
yes. When I played with him Palm Springs, we were playing Seminoles and they intentionally walked him twice just by how he was hitting the ball with such authority. Right center
Right.
gap, a couple bombs, man. And they walked us.
Right.
But who's some
Lou
guys like
has
you
Lou
feel
has Lou definitely Lou, myself, and a young kid named Tanner. We hit a lot. I mean, I didn't know Lou's a little bit older, you know, but he keeps himself
yeah,
in really good shape. He understands his strengths and weaknesses well, and as you get older, you tend to learn that, right? Like you learn what you're good at, right? You stay away from what you're bad at.
mhm,
Lou can for sure hit at the level. I don't know if he's a guy that's an up and comer. I think he's just a guy that when teams are being built, he just needs to be somebody that a team thinks about, right? And he could absolutely be a part of that deal. But guys that haven't really kind of like broke through at our level, or in my area, man, that's a tough one. We don't play a lot. It's been so hard with COVID. We haven't seen a lot of
true.
the young guys, man. There's a guy, Tanner. I really like Tanner's game because Tanner's natural.
Mhm,
Tanner he grew up skateboarding, so he's got some athleticism that's not just baseball or softball related.
mhm.
I think that's special too. I think guys that play multiple sports that have a background in a lot of stuff, just like in baseball, I think it helps. Tanner's naturally gifted. He doesn't he doesn't know how good he can be yet. So I hope he kind of figures that out and really hones in on his skills. Uh, but there's a guy on Kyle Lee's team. His name's Dale Swinford.
Yes, I like Dale's
He's
game.
from the Concord. He's from the Concord area. He's put together. He wears the uniform the right way. He can hit it far, and he can hit it down. And I think he's realized that this level is like different than just telling your wife you're going to go play softball with your friends for
Yeah.
a few hours on a Saturday, right? He's got a ton of talent. The Cheap Suits group, you know, guys like Roach, uh, he's got a ton of skills. Like the natural, but Devin is a guy that probably
Yeah.
could be on a double A team just based on just the sheer like natural ability for up and comers is like big, right? Like raw talent,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like a sink or swim, right? Like but you need to take those guys to a team and let them play all the time. You can't have him come to a team in my opinion, you want to bring a guy like that to a team, you got to just get him in there with a group and just let him play. And then we'll evaluate it after the end of the year. And then usually guys like that, they're gonna let you know if they want to do it or not, right? Like they're gonna dictate. It's like a kid, like having a child that, hey, let's go play baseball, and then you could just tell that they don't want to do it, and then you just move on to something different, right?
I see with
Ben
that. I see
big.
those are the guys that stick their head out of water for a little bit, and they end up going back to some other activity. Give it a go, and it wasn't.
Yeah, there's a kid that his name's Mark Wick. He's been around our little area for a while. I've heard his name a ton. And he's one of those guys that needs to understand that he can make this more than just a game, but he's still that guy that likes to just say it's just softball, and I don't know if it helps him be successful because he's a damn good player.
Potential.
But if he understands, he's a pro ball guy, and had some success doing that. So yeah, he does. And he plays great defense for a big guy. He's a bigger dude, left-handed, runs well. But he could play too. But yeah, so there's a handful, man. I mean, there's a guy that plays on Joey's teams. His name's Pablo, Little Pablo. We call him because there's a Big Pablo. Big Pablo's been around for a while, and he's turned himself into a good player. Just the young, naturally gifted players that they have a feel for it, right? Those are the guys that I feel can kind of do it, and those names that I mentioned are just a few of those names, and we'll see where it takes them. It's hard to find somebody to spend $70,000 or $80,000 on slow pitch softball, man. It really is, and unfortunately, there's not a ton of sponsors in the state of California. There's a lot of temptation, and there's a lot of other opportunities in our part of the country, So guys like guys like returns on their investment. So if you're a businessman, you don't really like spending money and not getting anything back. So it's hard to talk a dude into spending 50 or 60 grand. But when if the guys do it and get those young dudes around, veterans and stuff, it could be. It could be a diamond in the rough, So, we'll see. But those guys,
that's what I like.
Those are just a few. Those are just a few.
Well, you guys play at 7:45 tonight, right?
Yeah, we play at 7:45. We're gonna hit BP here at 3. Come back, shower, and relax, and then go whack these balls around. We play Extreme, super tough AA team. They struggled the first couple. It's tough to not go into a gauntlet. Yeah, they're very good. They've been together a long time. They've struggled early this season, but I'm hoping they keep struggling. If we come out and play good defense, and pitch well, then we got a chance. Short fields, ball's probably going to travel pretty well this weekend. So we'll see if we can manage our homers. And I want to hit all 12, but if we manage them correctly, we'll see what happens. It's been a weird season, so I mean, we just got to. Yeah, I know. We got to put We played well, and we played well enough. I mean, we put ourselves in a position to be successful at the duel, but we were missing our home run opportunities. I mean, it's a little bit different beast when you're trying to hit it 360 as opposed to 300. So our home run guys had a little bit of they were coming up short on some swings, but they were taking the right swing. I couldn't fault them for that, but the duel it's a beast, man. It's a tournament that's not built for everybody. Let me tell you, it's definitely not built for me. I don't like playing in that deal, but I got to do it, so I just deal with it.
Right on, man.
But yeah, 7:45. We get past that first one. We get past that first one. We're gonna be playing Bay Area on Saturday afternoon, so we owe those guys. So I hope so.
Well, I want to wish you all the luck, and Tom, I'll jingle him a little text. Go out there and represent NorCal as you have been, and enjoy your day and your weekend, and hopefully get some updates and stuff. All right, buddy? But you got to give me one-eyed Chihuahua. Got to give me one-eyed Chihuahua.
Chihuahua. I was talking to Hot Sauce Man about you on Sunday, man. I know he hit a ball in the 1-6 hole, and he said you'd be proud because he kind of pulled it. He got it through the gate. He got it through the net and the 5-man. He said you'd be proud. I said, I know, man. Leroy's always watching. Somehow, some way, he's always watching. That's how it works, man. Yeah.
Right on, brother.
Yeah.
Well, you take care.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a safe travel
I
back,
will.
all right, man?
Thanks, baby. I'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna be hitting some BP shortly, but anyways, we'll be going our regular Chihuahua with I got a handful of questions from my trip. As you can see, a lot of different things, talk about the environment and just different things people wanted me to talk about here. And ironically enough, DJ tackled some of the questions that I have. One question I have with multiple different people prior and two was, what do I think is a manager coach's duty when you travel? So there's a lot of things, and a lot of these questions that I'll be responding to is based on my experiences over the years, on what I felt good coaches were doing, good managers were doing, anything. But anyways, also tonight I'll be bringing on a couple. If you want to chat live with me, it would be great. I'll give you about a minute or two, but if something develops, if you keep going, let's go. The other day I had someone who was going to be coming on, but unfortunately wasn't. I think that was going to turn into a good half-hour chat. Sunday, it looks like I'll be talking with Kenny Briggs, Alex Lavarico, Tim Millett in that mix. And when I say Mikey Rod, yeah, Lava, Rod, Kenny Briggs. That should be a good round table. I may have another one tomorrow. Obviously, I'm hoping to go live with some guys in Cincy just to kind of give their roundup of where they're going and stuff. But sometimes, when guys are playing, some guys don't really want to, this stuff isn't for everybody's. A lot of interview this guy, this guy, this guy. I've had some conference guys actually reach out and say they'd like to be on the show, and I appreciate that because um, it's hard to ask people because I don't know how they react. Not everybody's into being interviewed. Not everybody's used to going through the Facebook stuff or etc. So if you're interested, please touch base with me. If you share that, like DJ, I would love to talk to Cameron Cox. I think he's a great guy. But if you guys are having conversations, hey, I would like, let me know, and then I'll touch base and get it started. So, anyways, we'll be seeing you tonight at 7 p.m. with the Chihuahua show. Give you some conference updates, answer some questions. Hopefully, have some people come on. How you doing, Dale? We were just talking about you, Dale. I wish you luck out there in Cincinnati. I think it's great that you guys are going. I didn't know you guys were going until I saw the picture of Uwe on the plane. So I wish you well as all North Cal players out there, and I wish you guys safe travels and a safe trip. So, anyways, on Friday, what is this? The 18th. Chihuahua is out of here.